The safe door swings open with a metallic groan, and Thomas Hartwell's breath catches in his throat. Inside, stacks of research files lean against a small wooden box, but it's the photograph taped to the inner door that makes his hands tremble. A woman's face stares back at him, eyes wide with terror, mouth open in a silent scream. 14 years earlier, Dr. Sarah Chun had simply vanished. The morning of October 15, 1992, begins like any other at Meridian Research Institute. Sarah arrives at 6:47 a.m., her security badge beeping as she swipes through the main entrance. The night guard, Bill Morrison, tips his cap and offers his usual greeting. "Early bird again, Doc." Sarah manages a tired smile. Dark circles ring her eyes, and her usually pristine lab coat bears coffee stains from yesterday's marathon session. "The cellular cultures don't sleep, Bill." She disappears down the sterile hallway toward Lab Complex C, her footsteps echoing against polished linoleum. It's the last time anyone sees Dr. Sarah Chun alive. The Meridian Research Institute squats like a concrete fortress on the outskirts of Portland, Oregon. Behind its brutalist facade, some of the nation's most brilliant minds pursue cutting-edge pharmaceutical research. Sarah Chun, at 32, has already earned recognition for her groundbreaking work on cellular regeneration therapy, research that could revolutionize treatment for degenerative diseases. But Sarah carries more than scientific ambition into the lab that morning. Over the past 3 months, she's uncovered something that keeps her awake at night, something that makes her glance over her shoulder in empty corridors. Her research assistant, Marcus Webb, notices the change first. "She's been different," Marcus tells his girlfriend later that evening. "Paranoid, almost. Yesterday, I caught her photographing her own research files." Dr. Richard Holloway, Meridian's silver-haired director, maintains his composure when the first alarm sounds at 11:23 a.m. Fire suppression systems activate throughout Lab Complex C, and employees evacuate in orderly fashion. Standard protocol, until someone realizes Sarah never emerged from the building. "Has anyone seen Dr. Chun?" Holloway's voice crackles over the intercom as firefighters pour through the entrance. The flames consume Lab Complex C with unusual ferocity. Fire Chief Janet Torres later describes it as aggressive, almost accelerated. The sprinkler systems fail catastrophically, and by the time crews contain the blaze, the entire wing lies in smoldering ruins. Sarah's lab occupies the epicenter of destruction. Investigators find her security badge melted to an unrecognizable mass near what remains of her workstation. Her car sits untouched in the parking lot, keys still in her apartment. Her purse, with credit cards and driver's license, never leaves the building. The official report lists Dr. Sarah Chun as deceased, victim of accidental laboratory fire. Case closed within 6 weeks. Marcus Webb disagrees. At Sarah's memorial service, he approaches her younger sister, Linda, with shaking hands. "She found something," he whispers, glancing around the crowded chapel. "Something they didn't want her to find." Linda Chun Morrison, she'd married Bill Morrison, the security guard, just 2 years prior, listens with growing alarm as Marcus describes Sarah's final weeks. The late-night phone calls where Sarah spoke in code. The encrypted files she'd begun storing off-site. The meeting she'd scheduled with a journalist for the day after the fire. "What kind of something?" Linda asks. Marcus shakes his head. "She wouldn't tell me. Said it was safer if I didn't know. But the night before the fire, she gave me this." He presses a small key into Linda's palm. "Said if anything happened to her, I should give it to family." The key bears a number, 1127. "Nothing else. Dr. Holloway delivers Sarah's eulogy with practiced gravitas, speaking of dedication to science and tragic loss. But Linda notices how his eyes dart toward the exit doors, how his hands tremble slightly when he mentions Sarah's incomplete research. After the service, Linda approaches her sister's colleagues. Most offer standard condolences and quickly excuse themselves. But Dr. Elena Vasquez, a biochemist from the adjacent lab, lingers. "Your sister was brilliant," Elena says carefully. "Too brilliant, perhaps." "What do you mean?" Elena glances around, then leans closer. "The fire didn't start in her lab, despite what they're saying. It started in the storage room next door, the one where they keep old research files. Sarah's lab was destroyed to hide what was in that storage room. Before Linda can respond, Dr. Holloway appears beside them. "Ms. Chin Morrison," he says smoothly, "I hope you know how deeply we all mourn Sarah's loss. If there's anything Meridian can do—" Actually, Linda interrupts. "I'd like to see her workspace. What's left of it?" Holloway's smile freezes. "I'm afraid that's not possible. The entire area remains structurally unsound. Insurance liability, you understand." But Linda doesn't understand. She doesn't understand why her sister's apartment was cleaned out before she could examine it. She doesn't understand why Sarah's research notes have mysteriously vanished from the Institute's database. And she certainly doesn't understand why, 3 days after the funeral, men in dark suits begin following her home from work. The key Marcus gave her becomes an obsession. Linda visits every bank, every storage facility, every safe deposit box. Company within 50 miles of Portland. Nothing. The number 1127 yields no matches, no recognition, no answers. Months pass. The media attention fades. The investigation officially ends. Dr. Richard Holloway receives a promotion to regional director. Marcus Webb transfers to a research position in Seattle, claiming he needs a fresh start. But Linda doesn't give up. She can't, because late at night, when sleep eludes her, she remembers Sarah's last voicemail, the one that arrived 3 hours after the fire was reported. "Linda, it's me. If you're hearing this, then something's happened. The key I gave Marcus, it's not what you think. Look for the number backwards." And Linda? Trust no one at Meridian. No one. The call came from Sarah's cell phone. The same phone investigators claimed was destroyed in the fire. Linda stares at the phone in her trembling hand, rewinding the voicemail for the 100th time. Sarah's voice, unmistakably alive, crackling through static 3 hours after the flames consumed Lab Complex C. Look for the number backwards. She flips the key over, examining it under her kitchen lamp. The metal surface bears scratches and wear, but no additional markings. Then the realization hits her like ice water. Not the key backwards, but the number itself. 1127 becomes 7211. Linda's fingers shake as she dials information. "I need the address for 7211. Any street in the Portland area." The operator's voice returns crisp and efficient. "I show 7211 Southeast Division Street. Meridian Storage Solutions." The blood drains from Linda's face. Even in death, Sarah's trail leads back to Meridian. The next morning, Linda calls in sick to her job at the county clerk's office. She drives across town to Southeast Division, a gritty industrial district where warehouses squat between auto repair shops and discount furniture stores. Meridian Storage Solutions occupies a converted loading dock, its windows painted black. The facility manager, a heavy-set man named Pete Kowalski, examines Sarah's key with professional interest. "Yep, that's one of ours. Been wondering when someone would come for that unit." He leads Linda through a maze of storage containers. "Your sister paid 3 years in advance, cash. Said she'd be traveling and needed secure storage." Unit 7211 sits in the facility's deepest corner, away from foot traffic and security cameras. The key turns with a satisfying click. Inside, Linda finds a treasure trove of Sarah's hidden life. Boxes of research files, labeled with cryptic codes. Photographs of documents, some clearly taken in secret. A laptop computer wrapped in plastic. And in the back corner, a small fireproof safe with a combination lock. Linda's hands shake as she opens the first box. The files inside don't match anything she'd expect from pharmaceutical research. Instead, she finds medical records, hundreds of them, bearing the Meridian Institute letterhead. But these aren't research subjects or clinical trial participants. They're employee medical files. Going back 15 years, the pattern emerges slowly, like a photograph developing in darkroom chemicals. Workers at Meridian, particularly those in the research divisions, show unusually high rates of rare cancers. Lung cancer, brain tumors, blood disorders. All clustered around employees who'd worked in the older laboratory buildings. Sarah's handwritten notes fill the margins. Exposure levels covered up. OSHA reports falsified. Deaths attributed to lifestyle factors. Linda's stomach churns as she recognizes names. Dr. Patricia Novak, who died of sudden leukemia in 1989. James Hartwell from the chemistry department. Brain cancer in 1990. Maria Santos, The cleaning lady who'd worked nights in the labs for over a decade, lung cancer despite never smoking. All of them had worked in areas later demolished and rebuilt. All of them had received glowing health assessments from Meridian's medical staff just months before their diagnoses. The laptop yields even more disturbing evidence. Sarah had managed to access Meridian's internal database, downloading files that detailed the Institute's history. In the 1970s and early 1980s, Meridian had conducted classified research for the Department of Defense, experiments involving chemical weapons development and radioactive materials. The contamination wasn't accidental. It was a legacy of weapons research that Meridian had tried to bury along with the buildings that housed it. Linda finds Sarah's final research report, dated the day before the fire. The document reads like an indictment. Meridian Research Institute has knowingly exposed employees to hazardous materials for over 2 decades while falsifying safety records and suppressing medical evidence. Conservative estimates suggest over 40 deaths directly attributable to workplace contamination. But it's the list of names at the end that makes Linda's blood run cold. Under a heading labeled Current Exposures, Immediate Danger, she finds her own name and Bill's and dozens of other current employees. Her sister hadn't just uncovered a cover-up. She discovered that the contamination was ongoing. Linda's phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Stop looking or join your sister. Her hands shake as she photographs every document, every file, every piece of evidence Sarah had collected. The small fireproof safe remains locked, its combination unknown. But Linda notices something else, a small recorder tucked behind the boxes. She presses play, and Sarah's voice fills the storage unit. If you're hearing this, Linda, then they've succeeded in silencing me. But they can't silence the truth. The combination to the safe is your birthday, month, day, year. Inside, you'll find the smoking gun, the document that proves everything. Linda's birthday, April 15th, 69. Her fingers tremble as she turns the dial. The safe opens with a soft click. Inside, she finds a single manila folder marked Confidential, Executive. Eyes only. The document within bears Dr. Holloway's signature and the seal of Meridian's board of directors. It's a memo dated just 3 months before Sarah's death. Chun investigation. Containment protocol. Linda's knees buckle as she reads the clinical language describing how to neutralize the security breach and eliminate the source of information leak. The document discusses Sarah by name, detailing her research and recommending permanent solution to prevent regulatory exposure. But it's the final paragraph that steals Linda's breath. Recommend immediate implementation of Protocol 7. Fire suppression system failure in Lab Complex C will provide adequate cover for elimination. Ensure complete destruction of all evidence. Subject's death must appear accidental. Linda's phone rings. Bill's name appears on the screen. Linda, where are you? Some men came by the house asking about you. They said they were from the insurance company, but his voice drops to a whisper. They knew things, Linda. About Sarah. About what you've been doing. She can hear fear in her husband's voice. The same fear that had consumed her sister in those final weeks. I'm coming home, she says. But even as she speaks, she hears the sound of car doors slamming outside the storage facility. Multiple vehicles. Multiple footsteps. Linda grabs the laptop and the most crucial files, shoving them into her purse. The fireproof safe is too heavy to carry, but she photographs the damning memo with her phone. The footsteps grow closer, echoing through the storage facility's corridors. She can hear voices, professional, efficient, deadly. Unit 7211 is in the back corner. Pete says she's been in there for over an hour. Linda's heart pounds as she realizes Pete has betrayed her. She looks around the storage unit desperately, but there's only one exit. The door she came through. The door where the voices are getting closer. Linda presses herself against the back wall of the storage unit, clutching the laptop and files to her chest. The voices grow closer. At least 3 men, maybe more. Their footsteps echo with military precision through the narrow corridors. She's definitely here. Car's still in the lot. Remember, make it look like an accident. Same as the sister. Linda's phone vibrates with another text from Bill. They're gone, but they left something behind. A photo of you at the storage facility. They know where you are. Her hands shake as she types back. Call police. Tell them everything. Sarah was murdered. The response comes immediately. Already tried. Detective Morrison says there's no evidence of foul play. They got to him too. Detective Morrison, no relation to Bill, despite the shared name, had been the lead investigator on Sarah's case. Linda remembers his quick dismissal of her concerns, his insistence that the fire was accidental. Now she understands why. The footsteps stopped directly outside her unit. 7211. This is it. Linda looks around desperately. The storage unit has concrete walls on 3 sides and a metal roll-up door in front. No windows, no back exit, no escape route. But then she notices something, a ventilation grate near the ceiling, just large enough for a person to crawl through. She stacks boxes beneath the grate, moving as quietly as possible. The metal screws are old and loose, and she manages to work them free with her car keys. The grate swings open just as she hears the sound of tools working on the unit's lock. Bolt cutters are through. Ready? Linda squeezes through the ventilation shaft, pulling the laptop and files behind her. The metal ductwork groans under her weight, but she forces herself forward, crawling through darkness toward what she hopes is another exit. Behind her, she hears the storage unit door roll up with a metallic crash. She's not here. Check the safe. See if she got into it. Linda crawls faster, following the ductwork as it turns and branches through the building. Dust and debris rain down on her, and she has to bite her tongue to keep from coughing. The metal shaft is barely wide enough for her shoulders, and every movement creates noise. The safe's open. Files are missing. Find her. She can't have gotten far. The ductwork leads to an adjoining building, an auto repair shop that shares a wall with the storage facility. Linda reaches another grate and peers through. The shop appears empty, its bay doors closed for the day. She works the screws loose and drops into the shop's back office, landing hard on her knees. The laptop skitters across the floor, and she prays it's not damaged. Through the office window, she can see men with flashlights moving through the storage facility, searching methodically. Linda's phone buzzes. Bill again. Where are you? I'm scared. She types quickly. Safe for now. Don't go home. Meet me at your mother's house in Salem. Drive carefully. They might be following. But even as she sends the message, Linda knows Salem isn't far enough. Nowhere is far enough from Meridian's reach. The auto shop's front door is locked, but Linda finds a window that opens onto an alley behind the building. She slips out, keeping low, and makes her way to her car. The parking lot appears empty, but she notices a black sedan that wasn't there when she arrived. Her hands shake as she starts the engine. In the rearview mirror, she sees flashlight beams sweeping the storage facility's exterior. They're expanding their search. Linda drives through residential neighborhoods, taking random turns, watching for pursuit. Her phone rings, an unknown number. Ms. Chen Morrison. The voice is calm, professional. I think we need to talk. Who is this? Someone who knew your sister. Someone who wants to help. Linda pulls over in a grocery store parking lot, engine running. How do I know you're not one of them? Because if I were, you'd already be dead. Sarah wasn't the only one investigating Meridian. There are others, people on the inside who've been gathering evidence for years. Your sister's death was the catalyst we needed. What do you want? Meet me at Pioneer Courthouse Square in 2 hours. Bring the files you found. All of them. I don't even know who you are. Dr. Elena Vasquez. I was your sister's colleague. And her friend. Linda remembers Elena from the funeral. The biochemist who'd hinted that Sarah was too brilliant for her own good. But trusting anyone connected to Meridian feels like suicide. How do I know this isn't a trap? Because I'm the one who helped. Sarah set up the storage unit. I'm the one who told her to record that voicemail. And I'm the one who's been hiding evidence of my own for the past 3 years. Elena's voice drops to a whisper. They killed her, Linda. But they didn't get everything. Sarah was smarter than they knew. She left insurance. Evidence that could bring down not just Holloway, but the entire cover-up. Evidence that could save the people who are still being poisoned. Linda's mind races. What kind of evidence? The kind that connects Meridian's contamination to deaths in 6 states. The kind that proves government complicity. The kind that shows this goes all the way to Washington. Through the grocery store window, Linda sees a black sedan pulling into the parking lot. Different car, same make and model as the one at the storage facility. They found me, she whispers into the phone. Run. Now. Don't go home. Don't go to your husband. They'll use him as leverage. Linda throws the car into reverse, tires squealing as she speeds toward the lot's back exit. In her mirrors, she sees the sedan following, its occupants speaking into radios. Where do I go? Anywhere but where they expect. Stay mobile. Keep the files safe. I'll call you in an hour with a new meeting place. The line goes dead. Linda races through Portland streets, her heart hammering against her ribs. Every traffic light feels like an eternity. Every car behind her could be pursued. The laptop and files on her passenger seat represent the only hope of justice for Sarah and the dozens of other victims. But they also represent a death sentence. Her phone buzzes with a text from Bill. They came back. Tore the house apart. One of them asked about your sister's key. Linda, what the hell is going on? She can't respond. Any communication with Bill puts him in danger. The men hunting her have already proven they'll kill to protect Meridian's secrets. As Linda drives through the darkening streets, she realizes the true scope of what Sarah uncovered. This isn't just about contaminated buildings or falsified safety reports. It's about a corporation with the power to murder employees and manipulate investigations. It's about corruption that reaches into law enforcement and government agencies, and she's completely alone against it. Her phone rings again. Elena's number. Change of plans. They're monitoring police frequencies, tracking cell towers. Meet me at the Columbia River Gorge, Vista House parking lot. Midnight. That's over an hour away. Exactly. Distance works in our favor. And Linda? Destroy your phone after this call. Buy a burner. Pay cash for everything. Linda checks her gas gauge, half full. Enough to reach the gorge with some despair. She takes one last look at her phone, at the photos of her and Bill, at the normal life that ended the moment she opened that storage unit. Then she pulls over, removes the battery, and throws both pieces into a dumpster. The Columbia River Gorge stretches ahead, dark and forbidding under the October sky. Somewhere in that wilderness, Elena Vasquez waits with promises of justice and truth. But Linda can't shake the feeling that she's driving towards something far more dangerous than she imagines. The Vista House perches on Crown Point like a stone sentinel, its Art Deco silhouette black against the star-scattered sky. Linda arrives 20 minutes early, parking among the scattered vehicles of late-night tourists and lovers seeking privacy. The Columbia River stretches below, a ribbon of reflected moonlight cutting through the gorge. She bought the burner phone at a 24-hour convenience store in Gresham, paying cash and keeping her hood up. The paranoia feels surreal. 3 days ago, her biggest worry was whether to refinance the mortgage. Now she's running from corporate assassins with evidence of mass murdered. At 11:58 p.m., headlights sweep across the parking lot. A silver Honda Civic pulls into the space beside Linda's car. Elena Vasquez steps out, looking nothing like the composed scientist from Sarah's funeral. Her hair hangs loose and unkempt. Dark circles ring her eyes, and she moves with the jerky alertness of someone living on caffeine and fear. You came, Elena says, sliding into Linda's passenger seat. Did I have a choice? Elena glances around the parking lot, studying each vehicle, each shadow. There's always a choice. Your sister could have walked away when she first discovered the medical files. She chose to dig deeper. And look what happened to her. Yes, look what happened. Elena's voice carries a weight of guilt. I should have stopped her. Should have made her understand how dangerous Holloway could be. Linda studies Elena's profile in the dashboard light. You knew he'd kill her? I suspected. He was capable of it. Richard Holloway didn't climb to Meridian's top by playing nice. He's eliminated obstacles before, usually through character assassination and career destruction. Sarah was different. She had evidence that could destroy everything he'd built. Elena reaches into her jacket and produces a thick manila envelope. Your sister wasn't working alone. She was part of a network, employees, former employees, family members of victims. We've been gathering evidence for 3 years, building an ironclad case. Then why haven't you gone public? Because we needed someone with unimpeachable credibility to serve as our front person. Someone the media would believe. Sarah was supposed to be that person. Linda opens the envelope, revealing documents that make her storage unit discovery look like a footnote. Financial records showing Meridian's systematic cover-up efforts. Internal memos discussing acceptable casualty rates among employees. Photographs of contaminated soil samples from the old weapons research facility, but it's the personnel file that stops her cold. Her own employment record from the county clerk's office, including detailed health information and family history. They've been monitoring me, you and Bill, along with other family members of potential whistleblowers. Meridian maintains extensive surveillance on anyone who might pose a threat. Elena points to a section highlighting Linda's college education and work history. You're perfect for what we need. Clean background, no criminal record, employed in government service. When you come forward with Sarah's evidence, people will listen. Come forward? Are you insane? They'll kill me just like they killed her. Not if we do this right. Public exposure is protection. Once the story breaks, murdering you would only confirm their guilt. Linda laughs bitterly. You think they care about confirmation? They burned down a building to hide their crimes. They murdered my sister and made it look like an accident. What makes you think they won't just kill everyone who threatens them? Elena's silence stretches uncomfortably long. When she finally speaks, her voice carries new uncertainty. Because we have insurance too. Evidence that will automatically release if anything happens to us. What kind of evidence? Elena reaches for the door handle. Follow me. They walk to the Vista House's observation deck, where the Columbia River Gorge spreads below them in moonlit majesty. Elena produces a small recording device and places it on the stone railing. Play it, she says. The recording crackles with static, then resolves into voices. Linda recognizes Dr. Holloway immediately. His cultured baritone is unmistakable. The chin situation requires permanent resolution, Holloway's voice says. She has evidence that could trigger federal investigation. Another voice, younger and more nervous. Are we sure this is the only way? Maybe we could discredit her research, claim she falsified data. Too risky. She's too thorough, too credible. The fire will eliminate both the evidence and the source. Make sure the suppression system fails in Lab Complex C, natural gas leak. Should provide adequate explanation. Linda's knees buckle. She grips the stone railing, fighting nausea. When was this recorded? 2 days before Sarah died. She managed to bug Holloway's office during a late-night visit to the building. Then why didn't you take this to the police? Elena's laugh is bitter. We tried. Detective Morrison claimed the recording was inadmissible, obtained through illegal surveillance. He buried it in the evidence locker and warned us about making wild accusations against respected community leaders. So Morrison is definitely corrupt. Morrison is scared. His daughter works at Meridian as a research assistant. His pension is invested in Meridian stock. He has every reason to keep the truth buried. Linda stares out at the river, processing the full scope of the conspiracy. How many people are involved in the cover-up? Dozens, maybe hundreds. Meridian has spent 30 years cultivating relationships with local officials, law enforcement, medical professionals. They donate to political campaigns, sponsor community events, provide jobs for friends and family members. They've woven themselves into the fabric of the community. Then how do we fight them? Elena turns away from the railing. We go bigger. Federal authorities, national media, people who don't have financial ties to Meridian. She leads Linda back to the cars, where she produces a laptop from her Honda's trunk. The screen shows a secure email interface. I've been in contact with an investigative journalist at the Washington Post, Janet Torres, the fire chief. Her sister. Janet left fire service 2 years ago to become a journalist. She's been investigating corporate cover-ups of workplace safety violations. When she heard about Sarah's case, she started asking questions. Elena pulls up an email thread. Janet's willing to break the story, but she needs more than just our word. She needs documents, recordings, multiple sources. She needs a survivor willing to go on record. Me, you, your sister's evidence, combined with our ongoing investigation, gives Janet everything she needs for a Pulitzer Prize-winning expose. Linda stares at the email thread, at the possibility of justice for Sarah and the other victims. But she also thinks about Bill, about the men who searched their house, about the corporate machine that turned murder into an acceptable business. Expense. What about protection? Janet Torres can't keep Meridian from killing me. Actually, she can. Janet's been working with FBI agents who specialize in corporate crime. Once you agree to cooperate, you'll be placed in protective custody until the investigation concludes. Elena's phone buzzes. She glances at the screen and her face goes pale. What is it? Message from one of our sources inside Meridian. Holloway called an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning. Agenda item: permanent resolution of security breach. Linda's blood turns to ice. They know about tonight. About us meeting. Elena nods grimly. Which means we're out of time. Janet needs your answer now. Tonight. Are you willing to testify against Meridian? Linda looks out over the Columbia River Gorge at the vast darkness where her sister's killer still walks free. She thinks about the dozens of Meridian employees who don't know they're being slowly poisoned. She thinks about Bill, whose life hangs in the balance of her decision. But mostly, she thinks about Sarah's voice on that final recording. Trust no one at Meridian. No one. Elena's laptop chimes with an incoming message. Janet's online. She's waiting for your decision. Linda reaches for the keyboard, but headlights suddenly flood the parking lot. Multiple vehicles, moving fast, converging on their position. Run, Elena whispers, slamming the laptop shut. They found us. Linda's engine roars to life as the first black SUV crests the hill. In her rearview mirror, she sees Elena's Honda fishtailing on loose gravel, its taillights disappearing into the maze of scenic pullouts that the Gorge Highway. Take Highway 14 West. Elena's voice crackles through the burner phone. There's a rest stop in 5 miles. Wait for my signal. But Linda doesn't make it 5 miles. The SUVs split up, one following Elena while 2 others close on Linda's sedan. These aren't the careful surveillance teams from earlier. These men want to end this tonight. Linda floors the accelerator, her car screaming around the gorge's hairpin turns. The speedometer climbs past 60, then 70, far too fast for the winding road. Behind her, halogen headlights maintain their relentless pursuit. Her phone rings. Not Elena, a number she doesn't recognize. Linda Chamorrison? The voice is female, professional, urgent. Who is this? Janet Torres, Washington Post. Elena gave me your number. Listen carefully. You're driving into a trap. Meridian has roadblocks set up at every major intersection between you and Portland. Linda's hands grip the steering wheel tighter. Then where do I go? There's a logging road 2 miles ahead on your left. Unmarked, easy to miss. Take it. How do you know about? Because I've been tracking Meridian's security teams for 6 months. They use the same tactical playbook every time. Funnel the target toward a controlled environment, then eliminate them in a staged accident. Linda sees the logging road, barely more than a dirt track disappearing into dense forest. She cranks the wheel hard left, her car bouncing over ruts and rocks. The SUVs overshoot the turn, their brake lights flaring as they reverse. Good, Janet's voice says. Now listen. The road leads to an abandoned logging camp about 10 miles up the mountain. There's a helicopter landing pad from the old Forest Service station. Help is coming. What kind of help? Federal agents. Elena's been working with them for months, but they needed concrete evidence before they could move. Your sister's files provide that evidence. Linda's car lurches through a pothole, nearly bottoming out. Behind her, the SUVs have found the logging road, their headlights cutting through the forest darkness. How do I know you're really a journalist? How do I know this isn't another trap? Because Elena trusted me with something she didn't tell you. Your sister didn't just discover Meridian's contamination cover-up. She discovered something much worse. Linda's phone crackles with static as cell towers fade behind mountain ridges. Janet's voice comes in fragments. Weapons research. Biological agents. Still buried on the site. The line goes dead. Linda drives through the darkness, following the logging road's serpentine path up the mountain. Her fuel gauge hovers near empty, and she realizes she's gambling everything on Janet Torres' word. But turning back means certain death. The SUVs have fallen back, their headlights visible but distant. Linda wonders if they're simply following, content to let her drive into whatever trap awaits at the logging camp. After 20 minutes of climbing, she reaches a clearing where moonlight illuminates the skeletal remains of sawmill equipment. Rusted conveyor belts snake between collapsed buildings, and a concrete helicopter pad sits at the clearing's edge. Linda parks and steps out, clutching the laptop and files. The mountain air is thin and cold, carrying the scent of pine and decay. She checks her phone. No signal. Minutes pass. Then she hears it, the distant thrum of helicopter rotors. But instead of one aircraft, she sees three sets of navigation. Lights approaching from different directions. Two helicopters bear the clean lines of civilian aircraft. The third, larger and more angular, looks military. Linda's stomach drops. She has no idea which aircraft carries rescue and which carries death. The civilian helicopters reach the clearing first, touching down in a whirlwind of rotor wash and swirling debris. Armed men in tactical gear emerge from both aircraft, weapons drawn but not aimed. Linda Morrison, one of them, calls. FBI, you're safe now. But Linda doesn't move. Sarah's paranoia has become her own, and she can't distinguish between genuine federal agents and corporate mercenaries. The military helicopter settles on the far side of the clearing, its rotors still spinning. A figure emerges, tall, lean, wearing a colonel's uniform. He approaches with hands visible, non-threatening. Ms. Morrison, I'm Colonel James Mitchell, Army Criminal Investigation Command. Your sister was working with us before her death. Sarah was working with the military. The contamination at Meridian isn't just an environmental crime. It's a national security issue. The weapons research conducted there in the 1980s involved classified biological agents. Some of those agents are still buried on the site, still active. Mitchell gestures toward the FBI agents. These gentlemen are here to ensure your safety. I'm here to prevent a potential biological disaster. Linda looks between the two groups, her mind reeling. What kind of biological agents? The kind that could poison groundwater for 3 states if they leach into the water table. The kind that Meridian's new construction project is about to disturb. The colonel produces a tablet showing Linda satellite imagery of the Meridian campus. They're planning to build a new research facility directly over the old weapons burial site. Construction starts Monday. They know what's buried there. They know. But they're gambling that they can contain any contamination and dispose of the evidence before anyone notices. Your sister's investigation threatened to expose the burial site before they could cover it up permanently. Linda's phone buzzes. Somehow, she has signal again. A text from an unknown number. Don't trust the military. Sarah discovered they're part of the cover-up. Meet me at the old fire tower. Come alone. The message is signed, E. Elena. Linda shows the text to Colonel Mitchell. His expression hardens. Ms. Vasquez is compromised. She's been feeding information to Meridian for months. That's impossible. She's the one who gave me Sarah's recording. A recording that conveniently disappeared from evidence. A recording that led you into tonight's trap. One of the FBI agents steps forward. Ma'am, we need to get you to safety. There are armed hostiles approaching this location. Linda hears it now, the sound of vehicles grinding up the logging road. The SUVs have found them. Choose, Colonel Mitchell says. Come with us and live to expose the truth. Or trust Elena Vasquez and end up like your sister. Linda stares at the tablet, at the satellite imagery showing Meridian's planned construction project. If Mitchell is telling the truth, the biological contamination could affect millions of people. If he's lying, she's about to walk into the same trap that killed Sarah. The sound of approaching engines grows louder. Decide now, the FBI agent says. We can't hold this position much longer. Linda clutches the laptop containing Sarah's evidence, the only concrete proof of Meridian's crimes. Everyone wants it. The FBI, the military, Elena, Meridian itself. But she's beginning to suspect that Sarah's real discovery wasn't about contamination. Or cover-ups.it was about something much worse. Linda backs away from both groups, the laptop pressed against her chest like armor. I'm not going with anyone until I understand what Sarah really found. Colonel Mitchell's expression shifts from authoritative to desperate. Ms. Morrison, you don't understand the stakes here. Every minute we waste is another minute. You have to come up with a better lie. Linda turns toward the tree line, where a narrow hiking trail winds upward through the darkness. The old fire tower Elena mentioned sits somewhere above them, abandoned since the Forest Service automated their surveillance systems. Linda, don't. One of the FBI agents calls. The hostiles will track you. But Linda is already running, crashing through underbrush as shouts erupt behind her. She hears engines roaring into the clearing, followed by the sharp crack of gunfire. The tactical teams and the SUV occupants have found each other. The hiking trail is treacherous in darkness, marked only by reflective blazes that catch her phone's flashlight. Linda stumbles over roots and rocks, her breath coming in ragged gasps. As the altitude takes its toll, behind her, the battle in the clearing intensifies. Automatic weapons chattering against the mountain walls. 20 minutes of climbing brings her to a second clearing where the fire tower rises like a skeletal monument against the stars. Built in the 1940s, the wooden structure stands 60 feet tall, its observation cabin perched at the top like a tree house. Elena's Honda sits at the base of the tower. Linda approaches cautiously, every instinct screaming danger. The car appears empty, but she notices the driver's door hangs slightly open, as if Elena left in a hurry. "Elena," she calls softly. "Up here." The voice drifts down from the observation cabin. "Hurry." Linda climbs the tower's wooden steps, each one creaking under her weight. The structure sways gently in the mountain wind, and she tries not to think about how long it's been since anyone performed maintenance. Elena waits in the observation cabin, silhouetted against the windows that offer panoramic views of the Columbia River Gorge. But something's wrong with her posture, the way she holds herself rigid against the windowsill. "Thank God you made it," Elena says without turning around. "I wasn't sure you'd trust the message." "Elena, what's going on?" The FBI agent said. "The FBI agents are Meridian contractors. Mitchell too. They've been hunting us all night." Linda steps closer and sees why Elena won't turn around. Blood seeps through her jacket, and her left hand trembles against the windowsill. "You're hurt." "Gunshot. Not fatal, but I'm running out of time." Elena finally faces Linda, her complexion pale and drawn. "Your sister discovered something that goes beyond contamination, beyond cover-ups. She found out who really controls Meridian." Elena produces a blood-stained envelope from her jacket. "Sarah gave this to me the night before she died. Made me promise to only open it if something happened to her." Linda takes the envelope with shaking hands. Inside, she finds a single photograph and a handwritten note in Sarah's familiar script. The photograph shows a younger Dr. Holloway shaking hands with a man in military dress. But it's not just any military officer. Linda recognizes the face from news reports and congressional hearings. General Marcus Thornfield, former head of the Army's Chemical and Biological Defense Command. Sarah's note is brief. "Meridian isn't a private corporation. It's a front for continued weapons research. The biological agents they're trying to hide aren't from the 1980s. They're from current programs. Active development. Thornfield is the real power behind everything." Linda's hands shake as she processes the implications. The government is still developing biological weapons. Officially? No. Biological weapons research was banned by international treaty. Unofficially, Elena coughs, specks of blood staining her lips. Meridian provides plausible deniability. Private corporate research that just happens to benefit military applications. Then Colonel Mitchell is Thornfield's man. He's here to clean up the mess, not solve it. The FBI agents are probably military contractors, not real federal agents. Below them, Linda can see flashlights moving through the forest. Multiple search teams converging on the tower. How do we prove this? How do we expose something this big? Elena points to the laptop Linda still carries. "Your sister's files contain more than just contamination evidence. She managed to access classified military databases through Meridian's government contracts. Funding records, personnel transfers, research protocols. Everything needed to prove the connection. Why didn't you tell me this before?" "Because I hoped it wouldn't be necessary. I hoped the contamination evidence would be enough to bring down Holloway without exposing the weapons program. But they're too powerful, too connected. The only way to stop them is to reveal everything." Elena slumps against the window, her breathing shallow. "There's something else. Sarah's voicemail, the one you received after the fire. I helped her set up an automated system. Dead man's switch. If she didn't check in every 24 hours, the system would send that message. You're saying she was already dead when I received it?" "I'm saying they killed her earlier than the official timeline suggests. The fire was just cover-up theater." The flashlights below are closer now, climbing the trail toward the tower. Linda can hear voices, radio chatter, the mechanical sound of weapons being readied. "What do I do with this information?" Elena produces a satellite phone from her jacket. Real journalist contact. Not Janet Torres. She's been compromised too. This connects directly to Marcus Webb, Sarah's research assistant. former NSA whistleblower. He's been living under witness protection since he left Portland. He has contacts in the intelligence community who can verify Sarah's evidence and get it to people who matter. Elena pushes the satellite phone into Linda's hands. But you have to get out of here first. They're not planning to arrest you. They're planning to eliminate the evidence and anyone who's seen it. Linda looks around the observation cabin desperately. They're 60 feet above ground with only one way down. The stairs where armed men are already climbing. The zip line, Elena whispers, pointing to a cable that stretches from the tower to another peak across the valley. Emergency evacuation system from the old days. Still functional. Linda stares at the rusted cable disappearing into darkness. I'll never make it. You have to try? Sarah died for this truth. Don't let her death be meaningless. The footsteps on the stairs are getting closer. Through the cabin windows, Linda can see muzzle flashes in the forest below. The search teams are eliminating Elena's other contacts. Anyone who might have received copies of the evidence. Elena presses something else into Linda's hand, a small device the size of a USB drive. Backup of everything. All of Sarah's files, all the evidence. If the laptop gets destroyed, this is our insurance. What about you? Elena's smile is sad and resigned. I'm done running. But you're not. Make them pay, Linda. Make them all pay. The cabin door explodes inward as tactical teams storm the observation deck. Linda doesn't wait to see Elena's fate. She grabs the zipline handle and launches herself into the void, the laptop and satellite phone clutched against her chest. The cable sings under her weight as she rockets across the valley, wind tearing at her clothes and hair. Behind her, the fire tower erupts in gunfire and shouting voices. But ahead lies only darkness and the faint hope that Marcus Webb is still alive to help her expose the truth about Meridian and the shadow military program that killed her sister, Linda. Crashes through pine branches at 60 miles per hour, the zip line depositing her in a tangle of limbs and undergrowth on the opposite ridge. The laptop skitters across rocky ground, its screen flickering but miraculously intact. Behind her, across the valley, she hears Elena's final gunshots echoing off the mountain walls. Blood trickles from a dozen cuts as Linda retrieves the scattered evidence. The satellite phone survived the landing, its military-grade construction designed for exactly this kind of abuse. She powers it on with trembling fingers. The contact labeled M. Webb connects after 3 rings. Elena. Marcus's voice carries the hollow quality of someone expecting bad news. It's Linda. Elena's dead. A long pause. When Marcus speaks again, his tone has shifted to operational efficiency. How much do they know? Everything. They have federal agents, military contractors, fake FBI teams. They killed Elena, and they're hunting me. Then we're moving to Protocol 7. Do you have the backup drive Elena gave you? Linda checks her pocket, relief flooding through her as she finds the small device. Yes. Good. The laptop's probably been compromised anyway. Meridian's IT security is military-grade. They can track devices remotely. Linda stares at the laptop that's consumed her life for the past day. You're saying they know where I am? Not yet, but they will soon. Destroy it completely. Battery, hard drive, everything. Linda finds a heavy rock and methodically smashes the laptop to pieces, grinding the hard drive platters to powder. The destruction feels like erasing Sarah's voice, but she knows the backup drive contains everything that matters. Where do I go now? There's an old logging bridge about 2 miles south of your position. Crosses Eagle Creek. Meet me there in 40 minutes. You're coming here? That's insane. They'll track you too. Marcus's laugh carries bitter edges. Linda, I've been dead for 3 years according to my official records. The NSA taught me a few things about staying invisible before I disappeared into witness protection. The satellite connection crackles with static. But listen carefully, trust. No one else. Not FBI, not local police, not military. Meridian's reach extends into every agency you can imagine. Your sister discovered that the biological weapons program has funding from congressional black budgets that most elected officials don't even know exist. Linda begins hiking south, following game trails through dense forest. The mountain air carries the scent of wood smoke and distant gunfire as search teams continue their sweep. How do we expose something this big? Very carefully. The evidence your sister gathered implicates people who could start wars to protect their secrets. We need international media, foreign intelligence services, people who are beyond Meridian's direct control. What about going public? Social media, internet leaks. Already tried that route with my NSA revelations. They have cyber warfare divisions that can scrub information faster than you can post it. Plus, who's going to believe a story this crazy? Without rock-solid proof. Linda stumbles over a fallen log, catching herself before she falls into a ravine. The forest seems endless in the darkness, and she's beginning to doubt her ability to find the logging bridge. Marcus, what if we can't expose them? What if they're too powerful? Then a lot of people are going to die. The biological agents buried at Meridian aren't just weapons. They're communicable diseases designed to spread rapidly through population centers. If construction disturbs those burial sites without proper containment, Linda's blood runs cold. How many people? Conservative estimates? 3 million infected within the first month. 10 million dead within 6 months. The Pacific Northwest becomes uninhabitable for decades. The satellite phone beeps with an incoming message. GPS coordinates. 45.5234 minus 121.7806. Come alone, or we kill your husband. Linda stops walking. The message includes a photograph, Bill tied to a chair in what appears to be a basement, his face bruised and swollen. Marcus, they have Bill. Show me. Linda describes the photo, her voice breaking as she details her husband's injuries. It's a trap, Marcus says flatly. They're using him as bait to draw you into a controlled environment. I can't abandon him. You can't save him by getting yourself killed. Your husband's only chance is if we expose Meridian's crimes before they decide he's no longer useful. The GPS coordinates point to a location 15 miles northeast, back toward Portland, deeper into Meridian's operational territory. There has to be another way. There is, but you're not going to like it. Marcus explains his plan in clinical detail. They'll trade the evidence for Bill's release, but not the real evidence. A carefully constructed fake that will look authentic long enough to complete the exchange. Meanwhile, the real backup drive goes to Marcus's contacts in European intelligence services. What happens to me and Bill after the trade? You disappear. New identities, relocation to a country without extradition treaties. It's not ideal, but it's survival. Linda reaches the logging bridge, a rickety wooden structure spanning Eagle Creek 40 feet below. The rushing water sounds like distant applause in the darkness. Marcus emerges from the shadows at the bridge's far end. 3 years of hiding have changed him. He's thinner, more alert, with the paranoid watchfulness of someone who's learned that safety is always temporary. You made good time, he says, studying her with analytical eyes. How are you holding up? My sister's dead, my husband's kidnapped, and I'm carrying evidence that could start a war. How do you think I'm holding up? Marcus almost smiles. Sarah said you had backbone. She was right. He produces a modified tablet and wireless scanner. Give me the backup drive. I need to clone the data and create a convincing fake. Linda hands over the device, watching as Marcus works with practiced efficiency. The real drive contains terabytes of information, financial records, personnel files, research protocols, communication intercepts. The fake will include most of the same data, but with key files corrupted or incomplete. How long do we have? They'll expect you to spend time analyzing their message, maybe try to gather resources or call for help. 6 hours before they get suspicious. Marcus finishes the cloning process and hands Linda the fake drive. Remember, act desperate, frightened, overwhelmed. Don't let them think you're running a sophisticated counter-operation. I won't have to act. Good. Authenticity sells the deception. Marcus pockets the real drive and prepares to disappear back into the forest. Linda, there's something else. Your sister's final message mentioned trusting no one at Meridian. That includes Elena. Elena's dead. She died helping me escape. Elena died because she was about to confess. She'd been feeding information to Meridian for months, reporting on your sister's investigation. Her death was staged to make you trust her completely. Linda feels the world tilt sideways. You're saying she was working for them? I'm saying she was caught between two impossible choices. Meridian threatened her family, her daughter in college, her elderly parents. Elena provided just enough information to keep them safe, while trying to help Sarah gather evidence. Then why did she help me tonight? Because she realized Meridian was never going to honor their deal. They were planning to eliminate her family anyway. Her final act was genuinely heroic. She chose to save you instead of saving herself. Marcus begins walking away, then turns back. One more thing. When you make the trade, insist on proof of life first. Make them bring Bill outside, away from their secure facility. It's your only chance to get him clear of the blast zone. What blast zone? But Marcus has already vanished into the forest, leaving Linda alone on the bridge with a fake drive and 6 hours to save her husband's life. Below her, Eagle Creek rushes toward the Columbia River, carrying mountain snowmelt toward the ocean. In a few hours, she'll drive back into Meridian's web, hoping that Marcus's plan works and that Bill survives long enough to escape with her. She doesn't know that at this moment, Dr. Holloway is receiving a phone call that will change everything. Dr. Holloway's phone vibrates at 3:47 a.m., jerking him from restless sleep in his penthouse office. The caller ID shows only a number he recognizes, General Thornfield's secure line. It's done. Thornfield's voice is clipped, military efficient. The Vasquez woman is dead. But we have a problem. Holloway sits up, suddenly alert. What kind of problem? Your security teams lost the Chen woman. She disappeared into the forest with all the evidence. My people are tracking her, but she's proven resourceful. Through his office windows, Holloway can see construction equipment staged around Meridian's campus, ready to begin work on the new research facility. Groundbreaking is scheduled for Monday, less than 72 hours away. How much does she know? Everything. The weapons program, the burial sites, the funding structure. If she reaches the right people, she won't. Holloway's voice carries cold certainty. We have her husband. She'll trade everything to get him back. Are you sure? The sister was willing to die for this information. Holloway walks to his office safe, extracting a file labeled Chun, Linda, Psychological Profile. Meridian's behavioral analysts had prepared detailed assessments of potential threats, including family members of key employees. Linda Chen Morrison is not Sarah Chun. Holloway reads from the file. No advanced education, no scientific training, no ideological commitment to exposing corporate malfeasance. Primary motivations are family security and personal safety. Conclusion: highly susceptible to coercion when threatened through spouse. What if you're wrong? Then we eliminate both of them and accelerate the construction timeline. Groundbreaking moves to tomorrow night. By Monday morning, the burial sites will be under 10 feet of concrete. Holloway ends the call and speed dials his head of security. Status report on the Chin situation. Subject is moving toward the exchange coordinates. ETA approximately 90 minutes. We have the husband secured at the primary location. And the backup teams in position. If she's running any kind of deception, we'll know immediately. Holloway closes the file and returns to his window. Dawn is still hours away, but the city below shows signs of early morning activity. Delivery trucks, hospital shifts, the ordinary rhythm of people who have no idea how close they are to a biological catastrophe. The weapons buried beneath Meridians. Campus aren't just relics from the 1980s. They're active research projects. Organisms designed to be far more lethal than anything previously developed. If construction equipment breaches those containment chambers, sir, his security chief's voice crackles through the intercom. We've received a communication from the target. Linda's voice, transmitted through a secure channel, fills Holloway's office. I have what you want. Sarah's evidence, Elena's files, everything. But I want proof that my husband is alive before we make any deals. Holloway activates his microphone. Ms. Chen Morrison, I'm Dr. Richard Holloway. I believe you have something that belongs to me. I have evidence of murder, conspiracy, and biological weapons development. I don't think that belongs to you. Your sister was a brilliant researcher, but she misunderstood the nature of our work. National security sometimes requires difficult choices, like burning her alive. Holloway pauses, recognizing the trap. Any acknowledgement of Sarah's murder could be recorded, used as evidence. I'm prepared to discuss a mutually beneficial arrangement. Your husband's safety in exchange for all materials related to your sister's research. Bring Bill outside. I want to see him standing in daylight before I come anywhere near your facility. That's not how this works. You come to us, We verify the authenticity of the materials, then we complete the exchange. Then Bill dies, and you get nothing. Linda's confidence surprises Holloway. According to the psychological profile, she should be desperate, compliant, eager to make any deal that ensures her husband's survival. Very well, he says finally. Noon today, the old Nike missile site on Powell Mountain. We'll bring your husband to the surface facility. You bring everything: drives, documents, recordings, copies. How do I know you won't just kill us both? Because dead martyrs create problems. Living witnesses who sign non-disclosure agreements and accept relocation packages create solutions. The transmission ends, leaving Holloway alone with his thoughts. Something feels wrong about the exchange, but he can't identify the specific threat. Linda Morrison is an amateur playing against professionals, yet she survived longer than anyone expected. He activates his secure line to General Thornfield. Change of plans. We're moving the timeline up again. Construction begins at midnight tonight. That's impossibly fast. The environmental impact reports will be filed retroactively. I want those burial sites sealed before dawn. And the Chun woman will be handled at the exchange, along with her husband and anyone else who might have been contaminated by this information. Holloway ends the call and begins reviewing personnel files. Meridian employees who might have had contact with Sarah's investigation, who might have seen or heard something compromising. The list is longer than he'd hoped. Nearly 30 people who represent potential security risks. By tomorrow morning, that list will be significantly shorter. Meanwhile, 15 miles away, Linda sits in a stolen pickup truck, watching the sunrise. Paint the Cascade Mountains gold. Marcus's plan depends on precise timing, misdirection, and the element of surprise. But she knows that Holloway isn't planning to honor any agreement. She checks the fake backup drive one more time, ensuring it looks authentic. The real evidence is already in Marcus's hands, being transmitted to intelligence services in 6 countries simultaneously. By the time she reaches the exchange site, the truth about Meridian's weapons program will be spreading through networks that even General Thornfield can't control. But first, she has to keep Bill alive long enough for the revelation to matter. Her burner phone buzzes with a text from Marcus. European contacts confirmed receipt. Story breaks in international media in 4 hours. Whatever happens at the exchange, you've already won. Linda wishes that felt more like victory. In 4 hours, Bill could be dead. She could be dead. And the biological weapons beneath Meridian's campus could be spreading through Portland's water supply. She starts the truck's engine and begins driving toward Powell Mountain, toward a confrontation that will determine whether Sarah's sacrifice meant anything at all. The Nike missile site looms ahead, a Cold War relic where America once stationed nuclear weapons aimed at Soviet bombers. Now it will host a different kind of warfare, the desperate endgame of a conspiracy that reaches into the highest levels of government and military command. Linda checks her watch. 8:30 a.m. In 3.5 hours, she'll discover whether Marcus's plan can save her husband and expose the truth about Meridian. She doesn't know that at this moment, construction crews are already moving toward the Meridian campus, carrying equipment designed to bury the evidence forever. The Nike missile site perches on Powell Mountain like a concrete scar against the forest, its Cold War bunkers and launch pads now overgrown with blackberry vines and Douglas fir saplings. Linda arrives 20 minutes early, parking the stolen pickup behind the abandoned visitor center where she can observe the access road. At 11:45 a.m., 3 black SUVs wind up the mountain, followed by a white van that could belong to any contractor or utility company. Linda watches through binoculars as armed men deploy around the site's perimeter while others escort a familiar figure from the van. Bill stands blinking in the sunlight, his hands zip-tied behind his back, a hood pulled from his head. Even at this distance, Linda can see the bruises on his face, the careful way he moves that suggests broken ribs or worse. Her phone buzzes with an encrypted message from Marcus. Media deployment successful. BBC, Guardian, Le Monde, all running. Preliminary stories. CNN picking up international coverage. Pentagon issuing denials, which only confirms authenticity. Linda types back, about to make exchange. If this goes wrong, it won't. Trust the plan. But Linda knows better than to trust anything completely. She checks the fake backup drive one more time, ensuring it will pass initial authentication before its corrupted files reveal themselves. Then she starts walking toward the missile site's main entrance. Dr. Holloway emerges from the lead SUV, flanked by two men in tactical gear. He's traded his usual expensive suit for outdoor clothing, but his silver hair and patrician bearing still radiate authority. Ms. Chin Morrison, he calls as Linda approaches. Thank you for being reasonable. Let me talk to my husband first. Holloway nods to his men, who escort Bill forward. His legs shake with exhaustion, but his eyes are alert, scanning Linda's face for clues about her plan. Linda, Bill's voice is hoarse but determined. Don't give them anything. Sarah wouldn't want. One of the guards strikes him across the face, silencing him. The materials, Holloway says simply. Linda produces the fake backup drive, holding it where he can see but not reach. Everything Sarah found. Everything Elena collected. Financial records, personnel files, research protocols. Enough to destroy you and everyone involved, including proof of the biological weapons program. Linda recognizes the test. Holloway wants confirmation that she knows about the buried weapons, the real scope of Meridian's activities, including classified military funding for illegal biological weapons development, including evidence that General Thornfield has been using Meridian as a front for banned research. Holloway's expression doesn't change, but Linda sees his guards. Exchange glances. She's demonstrated knowledge that only someone with access to the deepest files would possess. Very good. Now, I assume you want assurance that this exchange will conclude our business relationship. I want you to let us leave. New identities, relocation assistance, enough money to disappear permanently. That can be arranged. But first, we need to verify the authenticity of your materials. Holloway produces a military-grade tablet and extends his hand for the drive. Linda hesitates, knowing that once he has it, she loses all leverage. Simultaneous exchange, she says. Drive. For my husband. I'm afraid that's not acceptable. Authentication first, then release. Linda's phone vibrates with an urgent message from Marcus. Construction crews at Meridian moving ahead of schedule. They're going to bury the weapons sites tonight. Get out of there now. She looks up to find Holloway watching her with predatory patience. Problem, Ms. Chin Morrison. You're not planning to honor this deal. You're going to kill us both and bury the evidence tonight. Holloway's smile is cold and professional. Your sister made similar accusations. Paranoid delusions brought on by stress and isolation. My sister discovered that you're not just covering up contamination from the 1980s. You're actively developing new biological weapons in violation of international law. National defense requires unpleasant realities. Your sister couldn't understand that some sacrifices serve the greater good. Bill struggles against his restraints, his face flushed with anger. Sarah died trying to save people. All you care about is protecting your profits. Sarah died because she threatened operational security during a critical phase of national defense research. Holloway's voice carries the cold certainty of someone who's rationalized mass murder. Just as you're threatening it now. Linda realizes the exchange was never real. Holloway has no intention of letting them leave alive. But Marcus's plan accounted for this possibility. She activates a hidden app on her phone, sending an encrypted signal to receivers planted around the missile site during her reconnaissance. Within seconds, speakers concealed in the abandoned buildings begin broadcasting. Sarah's voice, clear and unmistakable, fills the mountain air. If you're hearing this recording, then Richard Holloway and General Thornfield have murdered me too. Protect their biological weapons program. Holloway spins toward his communications officer. Jam all frequencies. Now. But the recording continues, Sarah's methodical scientist's voice detailing Meridian's crimes with devastating precision. The speakers are hardwired, immune to electronic interference. The weapons buried beneath Meridian's campus aren't just research materials. They're active biological agents designed to spread rapidly through population centers. Construction scheduled. For October 16th, will breach containment chambers, potentially releasing these agents into Portland's water supply. Linda sees Holloway's guards looking uncertain, hearing for the first time the full scope of what they've been protecting. These men signed up to provide corporate security, not to participate in potential genocide. The recording is fabricated, Holloway shouts over Sarah's voice. computer-generated audio designed to create confusion. But Linda is already moving, using the distraction to close distance with Bill. She produces a ceramic knife, undetectable by metal scanners, and slices through his zip ties. "Run," she whispers. They sprint toward the forest as Holloway's men recover from their shock. Gunfire erupts behind them, bullets splintering bark and sending pine needles raining down like confetti. Linda's phone shows an incoming call from Marcus. She answers while running. Phase 2 is active, Marcus says. European intelligence services are sharing your evidence with American counterparts who aren't compromised. FBI field offices in 6 cities are preparing simultaneous raids on Meridian facilities. What about the weapons burial sites? Army Corps of Engineers is sending teams to secure the construction area. General Thornfield has been placed under investigation. Linda and Bill reach a clearing where a helicopter waits, its rotors already spinning. But this isn't one of Holloway's aircraft. The pilot wears European military insignia, and the aircraft bears United Nations markings. International extraction, Marcus explains over the phone. You're being granted asylum while the investigation proceeds. As they climb aboard, Linda looks back toward the missile site. Holloway stands among his confused guards, watching his carefully constructed conspiracy collapse in real time. By evening, news reports will be broadcasting Sarah's evidence worldwide. The helicopter lifts off, carrying Linda and Bill towards safety. But their victory feels incomplete. Below them, Portland spreads across the landscape like a living organism, its 3 million residents unaware of how close they came to biological catastrophe. Linda knows the fight isn't over. Meridian's weapons program involves dozens of companies, hundreds of officials, thousands of people who believe they were serving national security. Exposing the truth is just the beginning. But for now, holding Bill's hand as they fly toward an uncertain future, Linda allows herself to believe that Sarah's sacrifice wasn't in vain. 6 months later, Linda stands in the witness box of the International Criminal Court in The Hague, her hand resting on a Bible as she swears to tell the truth about her sister's murder. The courtroom is packed with journalists, legal observers, and family members of Meridian's victims, a gathering that would have been impossible before Sarah's evidence broke the conspiracy wide open. Dr. Richard Holloway sits at the defendant's table, no longer the silver-haired patrician who once commanded a corporate empire. 6 months in custody have aged him decades, his expensive suits replaced by standard prison attire. Beside him, General Marcus Thornfield maintains military bearing despite the shackles around his wrists. Ms. Chin Morrison, the prosecutor begins. Please tell the court about the last conversation you had with your sister. Linda's voice carries clearly through the courtroom sound system. Sarah called me 3 days before her death. She was frightened, paranoid. She said she discovered something that could hurt a lot of people if it wasn't exposed. The prosecutor displays evidence on courtroom monitors, documents from Sarah's hidden cache, recordings of Holloway's conversations, financial records, proving the biological weapons program's funding. Each piece of evidence represents another nail in the defendant's coffins. But Linda's thoughts drift to the personal cost of this justice. Bill sits in the gallery, still recovering from injuries sustained during his captivity. The doctors say his ribs will heal, but the psychological trauma runs deeper. He wakes most nights screaming about basement cells and the sound of Sarah's name being used as a threat. The burial sites beneath Meridian's campus, the prosecutor continues, contain biological agents capable of infecting millions of people. Can you explain how your sister discovered this threat? Sarah found medical records showing unusual cancer clusters among Meridian employees. When she investigated further, she discovered the contamination wasn't accidental. It was the result of ongoing weapons research. The courtroom monitor displays satellite imagery of the Meridian campus, now surrounded by hazmat teams and military containment units. Construction on the new research facility was halted just hours before equipment would have breached the weapons burial chambers. Environmental engineers estimate that a single punctured container could have contaminated Portland's water supply for decades. Marcus Webb enters the courtroom during Linda's testimony, moving carefully on crutches. The explosion that destroyed his safe house in Belgium had been intended to eliminate the last witness who could verify Sarah's evidence. Instead, It only strengthened international resolve to prosecute everyone involved in the conspiracy. Ms. Chin Morrison, the defense attorney, begins cross-examination. Isn't it true that your sister suffered from paranoid delusions? That she imagined threats where none existed? Linda meets Holloway's eyes across the courtroom. My sister discovered that a corporation was systematically poisoning its employees while developing biological weapons for the military. If that's paranoia, then the world needs more paranoid people. The trial continues for 3 weeks, revealing the staggering scope of Meridian's crimes. 47 employees died from contamination-related illnesses over 2 decades. The biological weapons program involved facilities in 12 states and cost taxpayers over $2 billion in black budget funding. Congressional hearings are already planned to investigate how such a massive conspiracy could operate within the American military-industrial complex. But the most damning evidence comes from Elena Vasquez's hidden recordings. Before her death, Elena had documented months of conversations with Meridian executives, capturing their casual discussions of acceptable casualty rates and necessary sacrifices for national security. On the final day of testimony, Linda reads a statement she's prepared about her sister. Sarah Chun was a scientist who believed that knowledge should serve humanity, not destroy it. She died because she couldn't remain silent while people were being poisoned in the name of national defense. Her murder was meant to bury the truth forever. Instead, it ensured that truth would be heard around the world. The verdict comes after 2 days of deliberation. Dr. Richard Holloway, guilty of murder, conspiracy, and crimes against humanity. Sentence: life imprisonment without possibility of parole. General Marcus Thornfield, guilty of the same charges. 23 other defendants received sentences ranging from 15 years to life. But Linda knows that justice in a courtroom doesn't resurrect the dead or heal the wounded. Sarah remains gone, her brilliant mind silenced at 32. Elena Vasquez died believing she'd failed to protect the people she loved. Dozens of Meridian employees will spend their remaining years fighting cancers caused by corporate negligence. After the trial, Linda and Bill return to a small town in New Zealand, far from the corporate conspiracies and government cover-ups that destroyed their old lives. Bill opens a woodworking shop, creating furniture with his hands instead of investigating financial crimes for the county. Linda writes, first a book about Sarah's case, then articles about corporate accountability and environmental justice. They live under new names now, their old identities buried as thoroughly as Meridian's biological weapons. The Witness Protection Program ensures their safety, but it can't restore the innocence they lost when they learned how easily powerful people can make inconvenient truths disappear. That on quiet evenings, Linda often walks to the small observatory she's built behind their house, a modest telescope that lets her study the same stars Sarah once watched from Meridian's roof. The patterns remain constant across light years and decades, offering the kind of certainty that human institutions rarely provide. Sometimes, when the Southern Cross rises above the horizon, Linda imagines she can hear Sarah's voice carried on. The wind. Keep asking questions. Keep demanding truth. Keep fighting for people who can't fight for themselves. The Meridian scandal ultimately forces reforms in how biological research is conducted and overseen. International monitoring protocols now prevent any single corporation or military agency from operating weapons programs in secret. Congressional oversight committees require detailed public reporting on all defense research contracts. But Linda knows that new conspiracies are already forming. New Holloways and Thornfields are already rationalizing necessary evils for the greater good. The price of justice isn't a single trial or a single victory. It's eternal vigilance by ordinary people who refuse to let extraordinary crimes go unpunished. As she closes her notebook and prepares for sleep, Linda reflects on the strange mathematics of heroism. Sarah saved millions of lives by sacrificing her own. Elena redeemed a lifetime of compromise with a single act of courage. Marcus Webb lost everything to ensure that truth survived longer than the people who tried to bury it. The safe that started it all, Sarah's hidden repository of evidence, now sits in the International Criminal Court's archives, its contents preserved for future researchers and legal scholars. But its real value was never in the documents it contained. Its value was in proving that some secrets are too dangerous to keep And some truths are worth dying to reveal that in the end. That may be Sarah Chin's greatest discovery. That individual conscience, properly applied, can defeat even the most powerful conspiracies. It just requires ordinary people to do extraordinary things when extraordinary things become necessary. Linda turns off the observatory light and walks back toward the house where Bill waits, where their new life continues, where Sarah's memory burns bright as any star in the southern sky.